Glad you're here. For those of you who don't know, my name is Allison Litton, and this is my classroom. I teach elementary French in Norwich, Vermont. This year I'm teaching kindergarten, first, second, fourth, and sixth grades, which leads to a wacky schedule, but I love my job. So I've been thinking a lot about Card Talk lately, and it's come up in some conversations that I've had with some folks, and so I decided to sort of do a series of videos on Card Talk. It's not really what I consider my to be my go-to. That would be Movie Talk. For those of you who have seen my Movie Talk presentation, you know that it's something I absolutely love. But there's a lot of power in Card Talk as well. For those of you in the curriculum club, it works really well with the framework for stepping stones. And I can talk a little bit more specifically about that in another venue. But today I just wanted to talk a little bit about how I'm using Card Talk specifically with my fourth graders this year. I do have a post on my blog, which cicanteach.com. And if you do a search for Hungry Planet, which is the unit I'm currently doing with my fourth graders, you'll see a little bit of an outline of what I do with my Card Talk after we actually do the Card Talk. It's a pretty fun unit. I really like it. It's fantastic for bringing some culture in. And so what I've decided I'm going to do is over the next little bit, we really just kind of started this earlier this week with my two fourth grade classes. And so I'm going to be filming a few classes here and there so you can kind of see how the whole unit unfolds and what happens. One of the things that I've been thinking about is what I love about Card Talk. Like I said, it's not my go-to, but it is really powerful because it seems like a really big idea, like just it can seem really vague and intimidating. And on the flip side, it can also seem really limiting, like how much can I actually talk about what my kids like to do? And there's so much potential, and that's one of the things that I want to kind of brush on today. My Card Talk that I'm doing with my fourth grade is based on food. They draw two things that they like to eat and one that they don't, and just to kind of give you a sense of what they're coming up with. Pretty basic, nothing terribly extraordinary. I'm not asking for world-class art. And the kids are actually a lot of times writing the food name on there. And what I do is I go through and I take pictures of these and I white out or block out or blur out the names of the foods because I don't want that visible. Sometimes it's helpful though, because I actually realized that I had blocked this kid's out and it says apples, but I thought it was peaches. And so and I was like, oh, it's oranges. And I was like, oh, nuts. So I didn't actually remember what it was before I started asking him, but he was okay with that. He's a pretty chill kid. So the detail and the variety that I get with these, pretty simple. This one's kind of interesting. Fried parsnips, kind of like, I don't even know if I've ever had fried parsnips. I love parsnips, but fried seems a little bit weird. But anyway, this is kind of a funny place. So these two are the ones that I started with yesterday. As you can see, simple, nothing terribly extraordinary. Their names are on the back. Which is really important for me. I don't want the names on the front. And so they put their names on the back, and I asked questions about it. And so this was the very first one. I sort of basically asked, you know, whose is this? What do they like? What do they not like? And one of the things that's great about Card Talk is that in the beginning, I tend to focus a little bit more on one or two kids. I think yesterday it was about half the class, so maybe about maybe a little bit more than half the class, about 20 minutes. I think we went through 4 kids' pictures. And so I asked what they like, I asked what they don't like. And this is a fourth grade class that's pretty, I'm realizing, pretty chatty. So they were definitely engaging a lot more than I would have liked. And so I kind of have to renorm the class, I think, on Monday. So I'm going to plan on filming this class on Monday. So you'll see whether or not it actually works or if it's a disaster or what happens. So you're kind of on this roller coaster ride with me as well. And so I would ask her, and then I would ask the rest, you know, what do you like? What do you not like? I would ask the rest of the class. So we went through a few things. One thing that's really important with younger kids is that I have to kind of establish, because this is food, like, don't yuck my yum. It's not okay to react negatively to someone else's food preferences or whatever. One thing that was interesting is I found that there are 4 kids in the class who don't like pizza, which is, you know, that was kind of a big deal. It was like, whoa, there's 2 boys and 2 girls, so we talked about that. And then this one super chatty girl piped up and said, "Well, we have to ask how many people like my dad's pizza, because some kids have had my dad's pizza." And so she said that in English, and I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, back up! Like, how can we talk through this in French?" And so we did, and I said, "Okay, in French, how many people in the class have had Annabelle's dad's pizza? Oh, is it good? Is it not good?" And so we got a little bit of personalization in there, more personalization than I would have expected. And this made me think of an issue, or not an issue, but a thing that came up a couple years ago, where there was a girl who really liked tacos, and became a super big deal. And so the day after we started talking, or a couple days after we started talking about this, I saw her in line in the hallway. She wasn't even coming into my class, and she had this T-shirt that said "I heart tacos," and I was like, oh! So I made a super big deal about it. So it kind of became this thing in the class, like Eliza loves tacos. It's just a big deal for her. And so it wasn't really a class joke or an inside joke or anything, but it just helped us build community. And so the same thing I have a feeling is going to happen with Annabelle's dad and pizza. And I'll go through and I'll be like, "So Annabelle, does your dad make pasta? Does he make, hamburgers? What does he make?" And so I know that that's going to be something that's going to come back, that's going to kind of create a unifying thing. And then maybe her dad will actually make pizza and bring it in, or she can bring in her dad's pizza for the class. I have no idea where that's going to go, but I just know that that's going to become something that's going to that we're going to bring back quite a bit. And so we're talking about what kids like, but the next thing I asked was, when we were talking about pizza, I was like, okay, who likes Domino's pizza? Who likes Ramunto's pizza, which is a big thing here? And a kid was like Ziggy's, and I was like, oh, okay, who likes Ziggy's pizza? And so the possibility for these kind of expansion questions becomes huge. It's like, okay, do you eat your pizza at Ziggy's, or do you bring it home? What do you like on your pizza? If you go to a birthday party, would you rather have pizza? Would you rather have something else? And so these questions can get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so we'll talk about ice cream. Be like, okay, who likes ice cream in the winter? Oh, that's, weird, or not weird, but, I prefer ice cream in the summer, things like that. So the possibility for taking these questions far beyond just the actual realm of what is it that you like and don't like to eat is pretty broad. I mean, you really can bring in a lot of different kinds of questions about this. Who do you do this with? Do other members of your family like this? If you're at a picnic, does it make sense to have, I don't know, soup or whatever? So it's an opportunity to think outside the box a little bit in terms of the kinds of questions that you're asking. Another thing that was actually really cool yesterday, when I had this one particular class, was Annabelle. I have a feeling you're probably going to hear her name come up a lot because she has a big personality. Said, I was asking a boy, and he said he liked apples. The kid's drawing who looked like the peaches, oranges, not really apple-y fruits. I asked him if he preferred red apples or green apples, and just a little pop-up grammar thing came up. I said, "Tu préfères les pommes rouges ou les pommes vertes?" Apple in French is a feminine noun, and so I had to make the adjective agree. And this girl, Annabelle, piped up, and she was like, "Wait a second, why did you say verts? I thought it was vert." And I was like, "Oh, you just asked like a high school level question. Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. It's so sophisticated. I'm going to give you the explanation. We'll talk a little bit about it later. It's kind of complicated. It's a little bit strange in English. We don't really have this idea of like these two different kinds of groups of words, masculine and feminine." I said, "But German, they have three, so that's even, stranger for us because we just don't understand that." And so I had this little moment of pop-up grammar. And then their teacher came to pick them up, and she's a friend of mine, and she was eating an apple. The teacher was eating an apple. And so I said to the class, I was like, "Oh, what is Miss Haney eating?" And this one girl goes, "Fireballs," because Beth really eats fireballs a lot. And so she laughed, and I said, "No." And it was a red apple. And so I asked the kids, I was like, "What color is the apple?" And so then I said to Annabelle, I was like, "Annabelle, how would I say green apple?" And so it was still written on the board. I wasn't asking her to, completely have memorized this grammatical topic and concept, but she read it, and so I know that that's something that's going to stick with them. And again, it was this pretty amazing pop-up grammar thing, which I thought was really cool. So something that someone asked me the other day when I was talking about this was like, "Oh, well, do you have the kids write down? Do you have someone write down what the kids are talking about?" And I was like, "No, but that's genius. That would be great." And so for my higher level students, I could either ask them to write down what's happening in French if I wanted to really push them, or just write down what's in English. And so the possibilities with that, I was just like, whoa, why did I never think about that before? That's incredible. So I was really excited about that. Some of you might be thinking, well, that's kind of normal. That's what I do all the time. But it wasn't totally obvious for me in my head. But then what I did at the end of class was I wrote a chart on the board, and I wrote M and NEMPA, so likes and doesn't like, and then I wrote the kids' names on the side, and they were telling me what the class was telling me what the kids liked and they didn't like. And so I wish I had saved this from previous years, but some of the follow-up activities is I will probably, for Monday or Tuesday when I see another one of these classes, make a slide where it's got the kids' names and then a blank, and so they're going to tell me what they like and what they don't like. Actually, no, that'll probably come on the second day that I do sort of this kind of review. The first day I'm going to write a sentence, and the kids' names are going to be the blanks in the sentence. So it might say blank n'aime pas les bananes or whatever, and so they're going to fill in the kids' names. So them providing me with the actual answers, which are the actual French words, will come a little bit later, after they get a little bit more input through activities like this. So that, I think, is sort of what I want to start with on this. I will end up doing picture talks and movie talks. If you go back to my website, my blog, cicanteach.com, and look for Hungry Planet, you'll see some of the pictures that will end up being the picture talk pictures that I have. And then we will go into a movie talk. And so this will probably take me through, I would say, at least the end of October, probably through November. Our report cards come out the second week in November, and we'll probably be in the middle of the movie talk at that point. I can tell you what it is. You can go read my blog, or continue to watch these little update video things. I will do card talk with young kids. I've done it with adults, my adult classes it's great for. I've done your favorite activities. I was talking to someone recently who said the best and the worst place that you've ever visited. And I was like, oh, that's super cool. Again, possibilities with that are endless. You're not just talking about the kid and where they liked to go, where they didn't like to go. Like, you can get into, this would be great, I think, for upper levels. Why didn't you like it? What were the situations that made you not like it? If you didn't like it, is there something that could have happened to make it better? Were you there during a lousy time of year? Were you there with someone that you didn't like to be? If you went to one of your favorite places, what would need to change in order for you to not like that place? If so and so were there, let's say this is a class that really likes, I don't know, it likes Beyonce or whatever. If Beyonce were there, would that make it better? Why not? And so I really think that best and worst place you've ever visited thing is a really super, super cool idea for upper levels. Just because of the possibility of the kinds of questions you could begin to ask, those what if questions. Why, how could it be different? Let's get some conditional in there. That sounds like fun. And so, yeah, I think Card Talk is a great launching point for a lot of different activities. I will get to every kid eventually. I will talk about every single kid's pictures as we go on, and some of the questions that we've been asking, things like, where do you like to eat this? When do you like to eat it? With whom? What would make it good? What would make would chocolate on pizza be good? That kind of thing. We'll pick up speed as we go through the rest of the class. It's super important that I do hit every kid's picture, but I'm not going to spend the same amount of time on the kids that come at the sort of end of the list as the ones in the beginning, just because it can get a little bit tedious. Things like special person interviews or special chair, that's the kind of thing where you're going to want to spend the same amount of time on each kid, because it's a slightly different function, I guess. You're wanting to highlight each kid and give them the same amount of attention. It really is their special time, but that's not really my goal with the Card Talk. So that's just something that's, I think, a little bit different. And I think that's all for this sort of first little intro talk. Like I said, I'll be filming some of my classes this coming week, and so maybe next weekend we'll do sort of a part two, so you can kind of see the things that I've done with my kids now that we've actually established these, the beginning part of this, what you like and don't like to eat Card Talk. So leave a comment at the bottom of the page. Let me know where you found out about this, if it was either Twitter or one of the Facebook groups. I'm kind of interested to see where my readers are coming from. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you have questions. Let me know if there's anything specific you would like me to address or talk about next time. And it's Saturday, and it's kind of icky here in Vermont, so I've got my tea. It's a gross day, and I'm really glad I'm not outside right now like a whole bunch of other people who are running a race on Killington here in Vermont this weekend that I'll be doing tomorrow. So wish me luck, and have a great rest of your weekend, and let me know what you think. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.